During the winter and spring of 2022, OSU Extension in Fairfield County hosted a virtual Master Gardener training. On March 31st, Lise Ricketts, a Master Gardener from the class of 2013, presented on the basics of creating and maintaining homemade composting bins in the backyard. The presentation begins here as Master Gardener Coordinator Connie Smith introduces Lise.
So what I asked Lise to do, and if you are on the Master Gardener Facebook page, you have seen pictures of Lise making black gold. So I asked her to send me some pictures, and I very rapidly threw together a slide deck of what her composting process is. So Lise, I'm going to start to scroll through here, and you just tell me next, and I will go to the next slide. So without further ado, let's see how she got started.
Okay, first of all, we started composting in 2020, and I saw the video that Tim McDermott with OSU gave on a lunch and learn because we were basically shut down for Master Gardeners. And he basically gave us the recipe and what we needed to do. And what we started out was the rabbit fencing. That's what he recommended, but you can use chicken wire fencing, that type of thing. And so on the left there, that's the roll of rabbit fencing. And it really takes about 2 people. Well, took my husband and I quite a while to stretch it out, and it's about a 4-foot diameter circle that we made, and we use zip ties to hold it together. And on the right hand side are other essentials that I use, the long thermometer that you stick into the compost pile after you've turned it and done all the wonderful things that you need to do to it, and it reads the temperature. And later on in the slides you'll be able to see here's what the thermometer is. I got it off of Google, and it says how hot is your pile, and your goal is to get it between 130 and 160 degrees. And then once it starts cooling, then you start flipping the pile over again. So next slide. Here is the example of our piles or bins. We were able to use grass clippings. My husband hates leaves in the fall, and we used to just burn them all. And he has a big burn pile. And so after I saw the video on how to make a composting station, we started out with 1, then we added 2. Then we needed 3, 4, and we have 5 now. 5, an extra one, so that we always have one that we can move one pile into the next bin. And we use a lot of different things. During the summertime, I make a lot of floral bouquets, and a lot of the waste that I don't need for the floral bouquets goes in the compost. We use grass clippings. We've added straw, sawdust. I also put wood ash in, and just recently we were able to get our piles from the fall working again. I had to take about 5 inches of frozen material off, but I added blood meal, and that was in that previous slide. And blood meal actually is nitrogen, and that kind of starts everything cooking. So next slide, please. Now, in the wintertime, you end up with a lot of different things. Grandkids come over, and you have the best ideas as to what you want to put into meals and everything, but everything doesn't get eaten. So rule of thumb, every item that goes into the compost bin, if you make it as small as that you can make it, it will end up decomposing a little bit faster. So there's eggshells in here. I have cabbage, I have strawberries, I have tomatoes, you name it, anything that would be organic that could go into a compost pile. I tried my handy dandy blender and then took it out in the middle of the winter, made a big hole in the middle and then dumped that in, and never really saw what it was after it started to compost. Okay, next slide. Here we are. My husband helps me move from one pile to the next. The problem with the bins, they're just a little bit under 4 feet tall. They may be about 45 inches tall, and I'm 5 feet tall. And so lifting everything over into the next bin is kind of a hassle for me because I'm having to mash down the top of the bin. Mike seems to be able to lift everything up and over, but this fall, this winter, in beginning of March, when we started to put the, change everything, get all the winter stuff off there and get it kind of cooking again, I just did squats and lifted up with my hands and tossed it into the next bin, because it's a whole lot easier for me to do that than trying to lift over that. Okay, next slide. And we just have lots of leaves, as you can see. And we started the bins in the fall of 2020. And so we had our first real bin of compost ready for last spring. So let's do the next slide. And a lot of times, it's backbreaking work. I'm gonna be, the way we're doing it, it's a lot of work. But what happens, I had already done 2 bins by myself, and I'm thinking, Mike has this little backhoe. And so we tried doing that, and we mixed it and blended it. And instead of putting it in a new bin, we just kind of corralled all that. Well, it didn't heat up. So we went back to the planting stages of going back to the pitchfork and me scooping and doing my squats, good exercise. And, the final product is going to look like a soil. And I grow lots of tomatoes here. And in fact, I think I had 22 different varieties. And I was able to use newspaper as a mulch, and then I put the compost on top of it. I learned that I needed to put my drip hose down. And so next year, or this spring, when I plant my tomatoes, I'm going to put the drip hose down, then plant the plants, then put the newspaper down, then the compost. And that would be a more productive way of doing it. And, we just constantly are using, the compost wherever I can. I have raised beds. I'm going to be putting a lot of compost in there because, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago, my husband bought me for Mother's Day a huge dump truck load of topsoil. And I didn't have the heart to tell him that we needed to have a lot more mixture in soil. So we just loaded all my raised beds up with the topsoil. So I've been amending that soil for the past 4 or 5 years. Okay, and is there any other slide there,
Yeah,
Connie?
Lise, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Tell our gardeners this, like in this raised bed area right here, did you amend any of that with compost before you started those tomatoes?
Oh, no. When we built this house, when we acquired this property, this field, this flower garden and tomato garden and whatever I grow, was a fenced in pony area. Okay. And in the 50s and 60s, our neighbors had ponies and their sons raised them. This soil is still really rich, but I grow sunflowers, I grow tomatoes, I grow zinnias, I grow lots of different things. And even though the soil is still really rich and it's like perfect soil, it still needs the nutrients, given back to you know, all the plants, because no matter what you plant, it's going to strip a lot of those inherent nutrients.
Right, right. Okay, so then
Yeah. And
tell them
then
about this.
yeah. One of the things that we do, you know, with our wet springs and sometimes wet summers, the paths are so important. And we kind of raise everything up and have the paths a little bit lower. I do line them with newspaper, then I put straw down. And then instead of mulching the grass in our fenced in our yard where our dogs and the grandkids track in all that, you know, grass, we bag that up, and then I lay the grass on top of the straw and the newspaper, and that actually decomposes by the next season. In fact, I was out there today and I only saw maybe a little, you know, a little piece of newspaper here and there. And so all that straw, all that grass decomposed. And I often joke that the paths are probably even richer than the soil that I'm planting in. So, but yeah, I rotate everything. So, oh, Connie, did you ever find that Tim McDermott?
Yes, I've got it here on our resources. Yes.
Yes.
And I will share this with everybody. I'll share this whole slide set with everybody so you can kind of do, you know, kind of look through it and see. But Lise, this is actually your tomato plant. I searched around on your Facebook page. I kind of ghosted you out today. So
Yeah.
how many tomatoes were on this plant? Because I've never seen that many tomatoes on a tomato plant.
I'm gonna see. I want to say there were maybe 30, and I'll have to go back through my pictures, but I made those little tags and I can't seem to read what the name is. It's
Okay.
aluminum tape, and then you just kind of carve into it with a pencil and you put that. But oh, I mean, yeah.
A lot of tomatoes. And then this is also some of the cut flowers, at least. She does like happy bouquets. So that they're in soup cans or any kind of cans. And if you're lucky enough to get one of Lisa's bouquets, it definitely makes you smile for a few days. So I wanted her to be a part of our training tonight, because this is a great time when you're starting to mow your grass and you're starting to think about how could you compost. And I will share this YouTube link with you from Dr. Tim McDermott, Franklin County, about composting. And it was probably a 50-minute virtual class that he did.
Yeah.
And I think you all might benefit from that. So Lise, thank you very much for being with us. Anybody have any questions for Lise?
I did see a question early on. It's there was a question about the Master Gardener Facebook page, and the name of it is what to search for. And I will, okay, I'll give you the official Fairfield County Master Gardener Volunteers OSU Extension. And there are 2 questions that you need to answer. If you just mark down that you're in the Master Gardener class, you know, we're trying to make sure we don't get spammers on there or some weird people that have other intentions. And so, you know, it's one of those things, but you'll be automatically enrolled if you just let me know you're a Master Gardener.
Okay. Hey, Lisa, there's
what
a
was
question.
it again? Can you say it again? Master Gardener?
Okay.
Fairfield County Master Gardener.
Fairfield County Master Gardener Volunteers OSU Extension.
And there is, I put a link up in the chat as well with the title, and also a link directly to that Facebook page. If you scroll up a little
Carrie.
bit.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. Who knows? We might be able to hit 1,000 before midnight.
Yeah. Hey, Lise, Eric Wood is asking, can you lift the wire mesh up and away?
Oh, yeah, it's real easy. I mean, I use zip ties to hold it together. I take a pair of, cutters and cut the zip ties off, and we just peel it back, and then we scoop, but it's lifting it back into the empty bin, because I don't want to, we have that empty bin zip tied, and I think I only use 3 zip ties on it. And, but it's just me lifting it over that higher thing. It's easier for me to just bend down, grab a whole bunch and throw it back in, so.
Okay, the next question, Lise, is can you use maiden grasses you cut down as straw? Are we talking
Oh.
ornamental grasses, Catherine?
I would say it's probably okay.
Okay.
You may have some seeds there that you'll end up with, some potential seedlings the next year, but yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. We just added one more, Lise, from Kay Drummond. Yay, thank you, Kay. And then we will, and Carrie just shared the virtual event, the composting event. And we will share all of this with you tomorrow. Thanks so much. What is the
and
best?
There was another question about the temperature.
Yes.
That if you're able to look at that picture of the thermometer, it's a real thermometer. It's, almost 2 feet long, but it ends up, go back to, it has a range there where 80 degrees, it's steady. Then it's active from 100. I can't read it real well. 120 to 130, and then 130 to 160. 160 is when it's hot. And I mean, I can pull that thermometer out and touch it, the tip of it, and it is really, really hot. But as soon as it heats up, it heats to a max, and then it starts going down. In fact, we just turned the bin a week ago Monday, and it was heating up, and then we hit the 18, 19 degree nights, and I went out and they're all down to 60 degrees. And so it's like, I told my husband, I said, we're gonna have to probably do them again in another week.
Okay, are you talking about the compost thermometer, Yvette? Did you get that on Amazon?
Yes, on Amazon. And you can, I'm sure some of the garden centers might have them, but yeah, I mean, this was during COVID, and I'm going, okay, I need a thermometer. And so I did Amazon, because nothing else was open 2020.
Yeah. The other thing I would suggest that if you're looking for these compost thermometers, also think about getting yourself a soil test, a soil thermometer, so you know what the temperature is in your garden.
You can use this in the soil too.
Oh, you can?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I've
Okay.
I've been checking my raised beds.
Cool. Good deal.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lise.